Yo, you guys, this is Blacklist to the Abyss, and you're watching my review for Parasyte, aka Kiseijuu, episode 17. And I really enjoyed this episode, alright? Tamiya Ryoko, she took out all three parasites. All three. She burrowed inside one of them, made him explode from the inside, then buried inside the female the female parasite, I think her name was Hikawa. Alright, and she made her fight against Kusuno. Okay, she made her fight against Kusuno. Then she ended up getting taken out. Then she ended up taking advantage of the things that she knows about parasites, things that the others would take for granted due to the fact that they just don't even consider humans competition. So why learn about their weaknesses if they don't think that humans are capable of capitalizing on them? Never thought that one of their own would be able to do it. All right, but what ends up happening is that Kusuno cuts Hikawa up into many different pieces. All right, and parasite cells don't die right away. All right, so each of these cells spread out. They were emitting the same signal, the same emotion. They were emitting animosity towards Kusuno, and that girl still had the desire to kill him for essentially betraying her. Instead of helping her fight back against Ryouko, he just said, "Screw it. She's buried inside you now. I'll just take you both out." All right. So the animosity she had towards him was strong, and each part of her body that was split up, that it was sending those same signals. Okay, and because of all those signals, all those strong, powerful signals, all right, because again, animosity is the strongest signal that they have. Because of all those strong signals being sent out, he ended up not being able to sense the lesser signal in Tamiya Ryoko coming up from behind him. All right, and that's when she took him out. And now it was pretty legit. All right, she used facts about the parasite's limits. Oh, not even a limit. It's not even something that's inherently a limit. She just took advantage of it and made it into a limit for what they could do. All right, so that's props to Tamiya Ryoko, because that's impressive. All right. Also, other than that fighting, we also got to see a laughing, half-headed Tamiya Ryoko running down the street. All right. She was practically headless. She ran into this couple. They chased after her for some strange reason. If it were me, I would have just I would have, I don't know. I don't do drugs or anything, but I might have thought that I had done them accidentally or something. I don't know, because if I saw a woman running down the street half headless, I don't know what I'd do, but I certainly wouldn't run after her. That's for sure. Especially with all these rumors about parasites going on. No, 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 no. All right, I'm sorry. I'm not doing that crap. I am not going to be one of those characters in a scary movie that gets killed off in the very beginning. Actually, I'm black, so maybe I would. That's that's not the point. Never mind. I'm just moving on. The point is that we saw headless Tamiya Ryoko running down the street laughing, which was funny. Then she transforms, that she did have a full face, but then she just pulled her head open and showed that her brain was missing, which was hilarious. This girl. Okay. After she takes out all three of the parasites, she goes up to her room, realizes that the baby's gone. Okay, Kuramori has kidnapped it. Right, and she does actually experience some emotion. Okay, it's kind of what I said last week. She wasn't really sure what she was feeling, but she had a feeling. She knew what it was. So what she did was she went to Shinichi's house and looked through some of the interactions that Nobuko had with Shinichi when he was a baby. All right. So she's definitely becoming more and more human. There's just no doubting it at this point. Shinichi ended up calling the house, and she told him to go meet her at the park, the same park that Kuramori told her to go to. So she's got something planned for him. Um, she said she wanted to give something to him as a person who's like the in between human and parasite. I want to say it's the baby, but I don't see how that would work. Um, why she would save this baby just to give it away? Maybe it's one of those things where she feels as though it's safer with Shinichi. Therefore, I mean, not really, because I mean, look at his mother; she's dead. Well, that wasn't really Shinichi's fault. That had nothing to do with him. That was just coincidence. But still, you know, being around Shinichi, not exactly the safest place to be. Though if we don't know, it may be safer than being with her though, because she may have made herself an enemy of Hirakawa. All right, because Hirakawa didn't know anything about this. All right, these three attacking her and she's going rogue. So when he finds out that Tamiya Ryoko killed those three, he might just brand her a traitor and send everybody after her. Okay, he might not. She might, whether or not he'll actually give her the chance to explain herself, that's unknown. And even if he does give her the chance to explain things, there's no way we can figure out whether or not he'll actually believe her and buy into her story. So it's possible that being near her is actually more dangerous than being near Shinichi. So she might actually entrust the baby to him. Alright, but it could be something else. If it is something else, I don't know what it would be. What else does Tamiya Ryoko have to give him, you know? Like, okay. It's gotta be the baby. That would be interesting, though, to see how Shinichi reacts. Maybe Shinichi would turn her down, and then she's forced to keep the baby with her, and because of the fact that the baby's with her, it ends up getting killed, and Shinichi sees the baby's corpse and then thinks like, oh, it's his fault because he didn't take the baby when Tamiya Ryoko asked him to. But then it would be interesting to see Tamiya Ryoko's reaction to that. Would she kind of become more parasitic after that and go after Shinichi? Or would she sit there and say, this feeling, I understand why you got mad at me when I brought up your mother before. I understand now. Having someone close to you. I don't really understand what's going on, but having something that I created get killed just rubs me the wrong way. I feel like it would be interesting to see what path she takes if she keeps taking the path of humanity or goes back to being a parasite. That would be interesting to see. Alright, but anyway, I'm just going. This theory just kept going on and on and on. Anyway, moving on. When Tamiya Ryoko left Shinichi's house, she ran into Murano, right? And Murano actually thought that she was Shinichi's mom, which means that she's never actually seen Shinichi's mom before. Alright, and that explains so much. I was trying to figure out how it is that Shinichi was able to keep this giant secret from Murano this whole time about his mother being killed. It turns out she's never even met his mother before, so there's no way she could. The two of them have absolutely zero relationship. The two of them referring to Murano and Nobuko, not Murano and Shinichi. Okay, so that actually explains a lot. that explains so much. That explains why she may not have gone to his parents, because she's probably never met the father either. Probably never met him either. So yeah. When I say gone to his parents, I'm referring to few episodes ago when I said that instead of leaving Shinichi when he's clearly at a time where he's struggling with things, she should do whatever she can to figure out what's going on. Maybe ask his parents, see if they know something. Should ask other people who may be close to him. That's what I was referring to when I say like why she didn't talk to his parents. That's what I mean. So that might have been because she's just never even met them before. So it's like, you know, it just, maybe that just wasn't a course of action she wanted to take. Maybe that's not the first meeting that she wanted to have with his parents. I think there's something wrong with your son. You've been doing a pretty bad job with him, all right? You know, that's that would be an awkward conversation to have, all right? But anyway, when she was asking about Shinichi's mom, I honestly thought for a second that maybe, just maybe, Tamiya Ryoko would tell her the truth and say, you know, oh, that the woman known as Shinichi Murano, the woman known as Shinichi Izumi's mother has been was killed weeks ago or months ago or however long it's been at this point. You know, I thought maybe there was a chance that she might reveal that information, but she was surprisingly pro Shinichi when it comes to keeping information away from Murano. But she was also pro Murano in the sense that she tried to calm her down and tell her that Shinichi would be fine and that he'd be back soon. So that's actually that's interesting, you know. There clearly no other Parasyte would even care enough to do that, to try and actually comfort her, let alone keep Shinichi's secret safe. You know, but she did that, so that clearly, I mean, I don't even really need to bring it up over and over again at this point that Tamiya Ryoko is becoming more and more human. I don't really need to bring it up at this point because yeah, I've just brought it up so many times and it's clearly being shown here in episodes. I just shouldn't need to bring it up that much anymore. But yeah, the way Tamiya Ryoko handled the situation was actually pretty interesting. All right. Now, right after this, Murano is walking down the street with Akio and Yuko, and she somehow manages to catch a glimpse of Shinichi on a bus driving by at who knows how fast. Okay. This girl's got to have some pretty good eyesight, because that's impressive. All right, seeing through the windows and everything too. Those must have been some pretty clean windows. Some, you know, some buses, you know. But still, that's impressive. She saw Shinichi and decided to chase after the bus. However, instead of finding Shinichi, she found Tamiya Ryoko again. So instead of trying to follow Shinichi, she started following her. Because that's a pretty big coincidence. She comes out of Shinichi's house, and now she's in the same spot that Shinichi's supposed to be. You know, that's a pretty big coincidence. She might just know something. That's what Murano figures, or at least I assume so. And she chases after her. However, she ends up losing her. Yeah. There's also that point about how she kind of recognized her from when she was teaching at the school. She couldn't quite put her finger on it, but she could tell that she's seen her before. Even though her face has changed, she still looks familiar. Alright, so that's another reason why she decided to actually follow her. Alright. But after that, she goes into the park. She starts thinking about a few things, like whether or not Shinichi told Kana about the stuff that he's not telling her, which is another thing that could be interesting, right? The next time that Shinichi and Murano meet, if Murano starts asking, you know, clearly there's something going on and you don't want to tell me. Alright, I get it, but I'm just curious. Have you told anyone? Like, maybe Kana? Did you ever tell her? And Shinichi, upon hearing that, would probably be caught off guard, and he probably would be in a situation where he wants to answer, but he just can't. He wants to just say no, but he can't bring himself to lie to Murano, so he ends up just saying nothing, and that silence would be telling enough. You know, that silence would tell Murano, you know, you actually did tell her. You trust her enough with the secret, but you don't trust me. Which, you know, we know that that's not true. The only reason he told Kana was because she was getting herself into trouble, and sooner or later it would come back to bite her, which it did. Right? The only reason he told her was to try and protect her, but with Murano's case, that it's just not the same, because she's not putting herself in danger. If anything, she's actually staying away from him. She's doing exactly what Shinichi wanted Kana to do. Alright, so there's really no reason to tell her other than Shinichi just doesn't want to hide stuff from her anymore. Alright? But this silence would tell Murano, you know, you really just don't trust me, you know. And it would be interesting to see how Shinichi reacts to this accusation, because it's clearly not true. He does trust her. He does care about her. It's just that he can't say anything, because if he does, Migi might attack her. However, you've also got to look at the way Migi's been acting as of late, because Migi's been um, understanding of human nature lately. Like when he defended Shinichi from Kuramori and started talking about how, oh, you have no idea what this kid's been through. He's lost his friends. He's lost his mother. He's had to go through so much and overcome it while still defending himself against these parasites. Like he was actually he was actually defending Shinichi, right? So he's been more understanding of human nature, and his Migi's behavior is actually changing as well. Okay, which is interesting. So maybe that's a side effect of Migi healing Shinichi. Alright, but it might be possible that Migi at this point wouldn't have a problem with Shinichi telling Murano. Of course, he's not going to just come out and say that, because then at that point Shinichi isn't going to wait, then he's just going to go and tell her. Alright, so Migi, it's one of those situations where, it's best to just stay silent and let things unfold. Alright, but it would be interesting to see how Shinichi would react in that situation. He knows he might end up revealing not what he's doing, but revealing that the information that he told Kana is what was responsible for her death in the first place. And he doesn't want something like that to happen to Murano. And that's why he's not telling her. And then he can add in at the end, but I just can't give you any details. I'm afraid of what would happen if I did. I'm sorry, I do trust you, I just don't trust other people. I don't trust the people who hold your life in your hands. Alright? It's not you, it's them. They're the ones I don't trust. Alright? So I think that would be a cool direction for this to go in. There's another cool direction I thought would be cool for them to go in, but I'll save that for the end. Right now, I've got to talk about Kuramori and Tamiya Ryoko, their meeting. Kuramori, he actually surprised me. He really did, because he actually knew. He just came out and said it, even if I did kill this baby, you probably wouldn't feel a thing. Alright, which I thought he would. I thought it was the exact opposite. I thought he kidnapped the baby with knowing or thinking that he knew that she would definitely care about it, but he said, no, it's actually the opposite. I know you're not going to give a crap if I drop this baby and kill it. Alright? But he's not 100% right. He thought that there would be no feeling at all. But like I said last week, I thought there would be some feeling. She just wouldn't really know how to perceive those feelings or act on them. However, clearly she did act on them. She stabbed the dude and took her baby back. Alright? And it clearly caught him off guard. Right? He wasn't expecting her to not display emotion, because she wasn't displaying, like, her face, like, there was no emotion being displayed there, okay? But the emotions that she was acting on, he didn't expect them to actually exist. And neither did Migi, because Migi said, this is the first time I felt such a signal coming from a parasite. Usually the strongest signals we feel, animosity, bloodlust, alright, but this signal that I'm feeling right now, this is something I've never felt before from a parasite. This is not an emotion that other parasites have had. This is strange, alright? So again, I said I just got done saying I don't need to say it anymore, yet I'm saying it again. Tamiya Ryoko becoming more human. Okay. Anyway, Kuramori ends up falling over the edge. Police find him. They go after Tamiya Ryoko. And we actually get a confirmation on what he actually wrote in that notebook from last week. He pretty much told him everything, including Hirakawa being a parasite, and how he has this entire group. He also technically told them about Shinichi. Shinichi ended up being the partner that he was referring to. Okay, and he tells them, he's human, he's on our side, he's been through a lot, but he is an ally, stuff like that. But he never he never actually tells them Shinichi's name, right? So they're not going to go straight to Shinichi. However, I think this will be a way out for him, because like I've said plenty of times before, one of the theories I have is that back when Nobuko stabbed Shinichi, and Migi had to kind of insert himself into Shinichi's chest in order to heal him, parts of Migi were left behind. They're floating around. They said it was possible for those cells to reach his brain, but they weren't strong enough to take it over. I believe that at some point, those cells that reach his brain might not take him over, but they will affect his hair to the point where if a strand is pulled out, instead of being normal hair not doing anything, it'll actually start to move. Okay, that was my theory. And I believe that once Shinichi is found out, he will try and tell them, listen, I'm not an enemy. Okay, these things killed my mother, they killed my friend. I want to get rid of them all. Okay, I am not an enemy, I am an ally. I want to be your partner. And then they're gonna be like, wait a second, partner. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And then they might go back and check these notes and say, you know, did you know someone by the name of Kuramori? And he's gonna be like, yeah, you know. And then they're gonna realize, okay, maybe this kid's an ally after all. Of course, they're not gonna believe him right away because, you know, anime and human nature. That's when you mix together anime and human nature in a series like this. It's, you know, the humans are always gonna doubt people. That's just how we are. All right. But, yeah. At the end of the episode, Shinichi ends up meeting Tamiya Ryoko. Not how I wanted it to happen. The way I wanted this to happen was I wanted Tamiya Ryoko to just be wandering through the park and discover Murano sitting on the bench, okay, and start talking to her. Well, not talking to her, okay, but just like looking at her, right? Maybe they say a few words, but Tamiya Ryoko doesn't answer back. Then we see Shinichi walking through the park, okay? And he ends up seeing a bench, a tree blocking part of the bench, and then Tamiya Ryoko facing the bench but next to the tree so that he could actually see her, okay? Then he walks up and says, what do you want? Why did you call me here? And then he walks far enough where the tree is now at an angle where he can see behind it, and then he sees Murano there. She turns around. Now Murano and Shinichi are kind of staring at each other, and now Shinichi doesn't know what to do because Murano, who, it's like, took the three of them together right there. It's just like Murano would be trying to put things together, but she wouldn't be able to. But she would continue to try and like start asking more questions, and Shinichi just wouldn't know how to answer them all. Okay, so I thought that would be just a really interesting way to take things. I thought it would be a really interesting way to have Shinichi and Tamiya Ryoko meet up, but apparently the author didn't. So yeah, hopefully it delivers next week. But as for this episode, as for this week, I will give it a 9 out of 10. Thought this episode was great. I really did. I loved the beginning of it with Tamiya Ryoko taking out those parasites. I loved the end of it with Kuramori and Tamiya Ryoko and Murano and the police. I loved it all. I loved it all. Alright, so I'm giving this episode a 9 out of 10, and that is that, you guys. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.